Coming up on Network Africa, opposition leader of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Felix Tshisekedi, denies making a deal with President Joseph Kabila. Israel scraps plan to forcibly deport African migrants. And union workers in South Africa protest over the minimum wage. Hello and welcome to the program. I'm Millicent Walker. Congolese opposition leader Felix Tshisekedi has rejected suggestions that he might do a deal with President Joseph Kabila at the first opposition rally held since 2016, which passed off peacefully. Mr. Tshisekedi, who was appointed as leader of the Union for Democracy and Social Progress, UDPS, last month, is one of two main figures expected to seek to run in the elections slated for December.
Surrounded by a crowd of cheering supporters, leader of the Union for Democracy and Social Progress, Felix Tshisekedi, dismissed speculations that he might accept the post of Prime Minister, something President Joseph Kabila has offered in the past to appraise opponents. Mr. Kabila's opposition is believed to be weak and divided, as many opposition politicians joined a power-sharing government after the death of opposition leader Tshisekedi, Felix's father, last year.
You, the militant, you're the ones who sent your delegates to the Congress to vote for the UDPS president. I was among the candidates and I was voted president with 98% of the vote. And they did not limit themselves to just voting for me as president of the UDPS. They voted for me to be the UDPS candidate at the presidential election. So, do you really think they will persuade me to go for Prime Minister?
Dozens have died in protests, most shot dead by security forces since Kabila's refusal to step down at the end of his constitutional mandate in December 2016. But Tuesday's opposition rally, the first of its kind since 2016, unveiled the broad outlines of the party's electoral campaign.
He came to relaunch a struggle for change in this country. There must be an election, and we must respect the rule of the game. If you don't, the people will continue to put pressure on the current leader. So there is change and the establishment of a state based on rights in this country.
The Independent National Electoral Commission of the DRC have set election date for the 23rd of December 2018, after a delayed presidential vote in November 2016. Rights groups have issued concerns as President Joseph Kabila looks set to remain leader for another 14 months, having held power for the past 16 years.
In Sierra Leone, serious fighting has broken out in Parliament just as the swearing-in of new MPs was underway following general elections last month. Members of the now opposition All People's Congress, APC, disrupted proceedings because 16 of their number had been asked to leave the chamber after a High Court injunction against them. Local media reports that the scene was chaotic and uncontrollable as the clerk announced a brief adjournment and the police were also called in. The APC is the biggest party in Parliament, but it lost the presidency to Julius Maada Bio of the Sierra Leone People's Party in last month's election. Police in Tanzania have arrested 7 people in the southeastern city of Arusha for their alleged role in planning an anti-government protest. The city's deputy police boss, Yusuf Ilambo, says that the government will not allow an illegal protest planned by a few people to destabilize the country. Organizers of the protest accused President John Magufuli of being a dictator, saying his government has been silencing critics and that he passed laws that undermined freedom of expression. The arrests come amid a travel advisory by the United Kingdom Foreign Office warning its citizens to avoid large crowds in Tanzania tomorrow. The chief organizer of the event is a popular online activist, Mange Kimambi. In Rwanda, mass graves have been discovered 24 years after the country's heinous genocide that left about 800,000 people dead. Locals believe that graves contain the remains of close to 3,000 people who went missing in their area during the genocide. This discovery comes just a week after an official mourning period for the victims of one of the world's worst modern-day tragedies. The Rwandan genocide, also known as the genocide against the Tutsi, was a genocidal mass slaughter of Tutsi by members of the Hutu majority government. An estimated 500,000 to 1 million Rwandans were killed during the 100-day period from April to mid-July 1994.